right, hello everyone. So, happy to finally have gotten this started here. I was thinking we start off just with a bit of an introduction about who I am, and also my friend here, Jones, who's gonna help me in the presentation by asking some questions. So, my name is Hoie, I come from Norway. I live in Bali in Indonesia, and have had a very unusual life, I guess. Probably not the only one at this festival who could say that. And yeah, I'm extremely happy to be here, to be invited, and honored to be invited to speak here. I visited 2 years ago as well, and I became a voluntarist about 6-7 years ago, and tried to learn as much as I could about, let's say, everything related to that, and also tried to understand as much as I could about economics and philosophy, and also a lot about history. And I was wondering what can I do that could maybe help to give something back to many of the people I learned from. And also, since I'm a businessman, as I'm going to explain a little bit more about, what could I do that I could make money on, which people would think is worth spending money on, and at the same time could have relation to the concept of voluntarism. So yeah, I started Positive Gaming 17 years ago, and it's actually been based in 6 different countries. So I've done a lot of different things, and we started off by importing arcade machines for game arcade machines, and we specialized on what's like Dance Revolution. Is everyone familiar with that here? That's where people jump around like crazy on this dance mats. And we actually managed to get machine dance registered as the first sport in the world based on a computer game. And we organized tournaments, first local in Norway, then Norwegian championships, then we went to European and World Championships, had events with up to participants from up to 20 countries, and we did this for many years. And in the meanwhile, we ended up publishing for PC Mac, a game for Europe, a dance game. And then we started to create our own, so we made our own multiplayer version, where up to 32 people could play at the same time. So sold to schools, fitness centers, YMCAs, even US Army camps around the world, funnily enough. And yeah, it was quite successful for a while. We were the market leader in our field. We had about $25 million total revenue. But at one point, because we had a lot of government support, that was the reason why a lot of these institutions could afford buying our systems, because they were expensive, like $10,000 or more. And then suddenly the financial crisis hit in several countries, and the public funding went away, and yeah, we ended up in a tough phase. But I'm not somebody who gives up easily, so a few years ago came up with the idea to create or get into the game app market, and I think that's a basic introduction about me. And then my friend Jones, we've been friends since about 20 years and have gone through a lot of things together. And when I started up this project, he joined me as a brainstorming partner, so to come up with ideas, features, stuff like that. And then along the way he's been helping me as a freelancer, and what he's going to focus on towards until we launch is basically helping to edit game music. So he's gonna join us now and ask some questions pretty soon. But no, I think that's actually enough for now. And what I'm showing you here in the background is basically, these are character cards for a bunch of the game characters in this story-driven game. I'll show you more when we move forward here. So I think I'll just close this one now, and then I open the next one. All right. Okay, so you can just, so parts of this you can just read. I'm not gonna talk about everything that you see on the screen, But this festival is actually part of the story in this game. So I thought it's cool to set that as a background when we're starting up here. And what you see in the background are different things that are also related to the story in the game. So I think we just move on to the first question, please, Jones.
Sure. Yeah. So what inspired you actually to make this game?
Yeah, over the last, let's say, 5 years, the story-driven games have become a very popular new genre, where there's a lot of story, but plus gameplay, but strong focus on the story in a different way that has ever been before. And I would say it has started to be popular enough that it's something that I believe is going to be a future way for people to experience stories. And I mean, everybody has a smartphone, and many people are bored, or they like to do things on the smartphone, so it's been growing pretty massively. And I can show you here first. This is an example, and let me get out my pointer here. That was the wrong one. Okay. So here you can see that's 68 million likes. And let's just say that among computer games, I've never seen any other game that has so many likes on the Facebook page. And they have 130 million registered users. It was Facebook a game of the year in 2013, and it's a game that I'm playing with my son. He has autism, he's 18 years old, and he loves stories, but it's very difficult to communicate with him, like have real serious conversations with him, unless it's something related to a story. So we're playing through this criminal case, which is basically you're a police officer that helps to solve murder mysteries and a lot of pretty disturbing killings, and of course a lot of it is kind of bowing down to authority, and overall not something that I'm like, okay, this is what we spend a lot of time going through stories about and all that. So this that was what made me first think, maybe I could make something where you could learn a lot more, and also the stuff that I've been studying myself, which I otherwise couldn't really share with him. So I think that could be the main explanation for why I started with it. So I didn't show much from that game here, but they also have this kind of exchanges as we have in our game. And it's not as popular as it used to be, but still a popular game. It has several little mini games inside it. I'm going to see a little bit more afterwards, but I think that answers your first question.
So Criminal Case actually differs a bit from Immortalized, so can you explain why?
Yes. Here is another game, and this is the most popular story-driven game until date. It doesn't have as many users as Criminal Case, but this game is extremely popular, especially among young adult women. And they have, I'll show you just a few screenshots with revenue and stuff like that, but they have made a very simple version of their game. And here you can see you can make some choices in different situations. These are 3 different examples of stories they have in their app. They have about 15 different stories, and they are each released like book 1, book 2, and weekly chapters, and people are waiting for chapters to come out, and then you can at least have a certain effect on what happens in the story. And as you can see, they have pretty cool graphics, and it's very engaging for a lot of people. For me, the stories are basically very simple and kind of mostly boring and pointless, but I'm not like everyone else, and let's say the market has something to say, and I respect it when it shows up with the numbers that they do. So 1 second here. Okay, so this is an example of 1 day on the US market for iPhone. $124,000 and 36,000 daily installs, and they keep doing this. That's the level they're at. And here you see from another site, it's about 900,000 downloads in 1 month, 3 million, and this is only for iPhone on the US market. So they have a total game revenue of about $6 million a month. And it's actually a pretty simple app. So what we're trying to do is to learn as much as we can from them, try to use all the best stuff they have, and then come up with some unique ideas of our own. And part of the point for me to do this in the first place is to have much more meaningful stories. And we have started off with one story, which I'm the story writer for, with fortunately some help by more experienced story writers than me. And that's what we're going to talk about here.
Can you show us a little bit more from the Immortalized game universe?
Yeah, so I'll first just jump into the story, and afterwards I'm going to go through some features, game features, etc. So here you'll see maybe a few familiar faces. I actually see a few of these faces in the audience by coincidence. Yeah, so I'll try to give you a certain idea about the story. It's set about 5 years into the future, but you never know exactly. And there has been a giant tsunami that wiped out the whole population on the island of Guanave outside of Haiti. And as a consequence, and that's going to take a bit of time to find out really what happened there. That's one of the mysteries. But it's a community, the big community of voluntarists that moved over to the island, and there's a certain area of the island called Voluntaria, and there was something called the Voluntaria Trust that purchased that part of the island, and under the conditions that they make sure that people are not going completely berserk. Otherwise, berserk as in being too free. No, but everyone has to follow the non-aggression principle to be allowed to buy property or to lease property. Actually, you have to lease your property for at least 10 years and show that you can handle living there. And this has been very attractive to many people. And it's also advanced society technologically. Here you see some more familiar characters, I think. Yeah, so for example, they have hoverboards inspired by CJ's episode. It's 2015, Where's My Hoverboard? So CJ has a hoverboard, of course. And they also have some very cool drones, like almost everyone has at least 1 or 2 drones of their own. And they, in this game universe, the cryptocurrencies are forbidden because it's considered to be crypto terrorists or crypto criminals. But there are some pretty crafty people on this island. So one, basically a genius, he came up with a VPN that was so advanced that there's absolutely no way that anybody can track anything you do on any of your devices. So that led to basically everybody in the Voluntaria area using it, but it started to get popular in the rest of the world as well. And the same guy called Felix, he also invented Volcoin, which is the world's leading cryptocurrency in this game universe, which is also what you get if you spend real money on the game, by the way. And this again led to a massive growth of the economy on the island because people started actually buying this stuff, and so it's many people grew very wealthy from it. And this again frustrates like power elites around the world, especially the US power elites, and they are like, what can we do to kind of stop these people from being so successful while doing everything wrong? So that's kind of underlying theme in the story. And yeah, so it takes a little bit of time before one gets to know a lot about this society, because I don't want to make some kind of a story where it's just all about voluntarism and like this. This is meant as a game for pretty, let's say, normal people, and so that they can enjoy playing it and enjoy the story and feel like they are not just considered to be idiots or something like that. So we're following the story through two young main characters, and here's an example. This is one of them, Geraldine. And these are examples of character expressions. Like some of you may have seen me going berserk, posting characters and expressions on Facebook since more than a year. Probably some got tired of it, but anyway. And you also then see the backdrop, basically. I'm pointing at my computer, that's probably very effective. So, yeah. Okay. Very important thing there, probably. Let's see. So here you have a quote which we have in the beginning of every chapter, and hopefully they will be quotes that many people think, wow, that's pretty interesting, and then you can share it to Facebook easily, which we hope people will like to do. Yeah, I'll show you a few screenshots basically from the story. It's not so much game feature related, but yeah, this is basically, that's what the story is dedicated to. And so the male main character, he's called Morris, and he wakes up with amnesia at a hospital in Orlando. And he has no idea what's going on, and then he will meet this guy here. He may also look familiar to those who actually see me. So that's my character in the game, and my character is his boss, pretty annoying boss actually, and totally addicted to computer games and like this. So when Morris wakes up with amnesia, then my character is about to beat his high score, so he doesn't have time to focus on that. But anyway, then Josie, who she's actually one of the few, let's say, voluntaries that's not living in Gunave. She's actually working as the vice president of Immortal Games, which is the company that both of the main characters are working for. And yeah, so this is just an example of choices, but there will be several choices that are a bit more, that create a bit more different depending on what you answer. But I'm not going to focus so much on that now. So here you see it also early in the story. There's a hacker that has hacked into the main CIA database, and for some reason the IT director is not too happy about that. So this hacker calls him or herself Volley, and Volley is going to be a character that's helping Morris, the male main character, in finding out what happened to him, and help him also so that those who are trying to stop him from doing stuff, that they will maybe struggle to manage to stop him. So yeah, here this is just an example from this also first chapter on this island on Gunave. Lou and CJ, friends in the story, not completely unrealistic, I guess. And then they hear a big bomb blast, and they fly over on their hoverboards, and they find this genius, Felix. His home has been bombed to pieces, and yeah, there's no gun control in Gunave, by the way. They have tried to introduce gum control, because people are throwing chewing gum everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so here you see, so this is the skeleton of Felix, this genius, and they also find the CIA badge next to this guy. So that's part of the story, will be to find out what happened here and what can be done to take revenge on the people responsible, who did it, that sort of thing. And here you see these two meeting for the first time. They are the two main characters, and like they start off in a more like light mood and everything, but they get thrown into adventures that make them have to question a lot of things about their own lives and things that they were taught before. And gradually Morris is going to go to Gunave, not the least after he went to a Peace and Liberty Festival by the Michigan organization here. Yeah, you can find out more about that if you try playing the game when it's out. Yeah, so these are just a few screenshots. Okay. Yeah, so then Morris starts to get messages from this Volley character, who then installs this VPN and etc. Yeah, I'm soon done with this part now. So here, yeah, I don't know if you recognize these guys. This is my character's younger brother, actually. It's me, like 12 years ago or something, and the other guy is him. Yeah. So, and they're actually gonna be two characters that are helping this hacker, Volley, to try to help Morris and also to go after some of the people responsible for, yeah, both what happened to this Felix and also some other nasty stuff. So there are a lot of different characters, a lot of different side plots and stuff like that. So hopefully it's going to be engaging, and the plan is to keep coming with more and more content. So I have so many ideas for this story that I think it could go on for many years if people like it. All right, I think that's more or less it from this one. Yeah.
So can you show us maybe some more of the basic features of the game?
Yep. So this is a game, even though it probably seems to be very focused on the story, which is a big part of it as well. So I'm going to sit down here a little bit. Yeah, we can start up in this corner. So this is the main menu, and here one presses here if one wants to continue with the story, basically here or here. Up here you see you can get your own avatar, so that's basically who you are. You can choose between all the different characters in the game, and then you can also choose between different expressions and use for your avatar. So now you see he has chosen that here, and some of the expressions will cost money, but most of them will be free. Here you can also see CJ. He can be customized, and we add a cap with the Dangerous History Podcast logo on it, and this also, as you can see, gives some XP. So what is that? Let's see. That is like what we have up here. Yeah, this is not a game, I just want to say. This is a PowerPoint, so it doesn't register the points properly. But anyway, so you need to get a certain amount of XP to level up, and each time you level up you get a free key. To be able to open the next chapter you need a key, and one normally gets one free key every 12 hours, as long as one has used the previous one. But if you level up, you also get an extra key each time you do that. In addition, you can win cash notes, and both XP and cash notes are won partially when you play through the story, when you finish chapters, episodes, when you make choices, but also when you are voting. And I know this sounds ridiculous for a voluntarist game, but actually voting is important in this game. Your vote matters. Anyway, so yeah, here's the, if you spend real money, then you get Volcoin, and you can get very good deal, like a whole safe full of cryptocurrencies. So that's always nice. Yeah, so here there will be news about different things. So for example, upcoming chapters with a timer, so you can see when it's going to be published, and new stories when we get that far, then the special offers, and yeah, there's something called character awards, so let's say winners of character awards, and yeah, so new game features, things like that. Then here, actually I can first go to this one. You have episodes, and then you can go to unlock an episode, which you also get experience points for. But let's go into episode 1. Here you have 5 chapters per episode. Each of them take maybe 20 to 30 minutes to play normally, and there will be one bonus chapter that's only available to people who spend money. And there will, for every episode, there will be episode notes. So these are just examples, but this could be links to podcasts, or there can be links to Wikipedia articles, things that are being discussed in the story, that sort of thing. Yeah. Then, the last thing we're going to look at here is basically this one. So that's the voting part. So there will be several different categories one can vote within. Here you see on the top, the winner in this category will have a bonus chapter written about his or her background. So then we will actually write a separate chapter that covers a lot about what happened to them in the past in the story. And there will be, usually once a month, there will be a winner. And it's free to give one vote per day in each category. If you want to give more, you gotta spend some money. And so, for example, here, the winner in this category will either be killed or leave the story in some other way. So maybe somebody wants to get rid of my character, for example. Then maybe people even spend money to get rid of me. That would be nice. I don't mind. And then, all right, so you can also sort by rank, or you can sort by alphabet. But okay, then, but now we want to vote for CJ. CJ for president. No, that's not exactly what it's about, but all right, so here you have one vote, that's for free. 2 votes you can buy for some cash notes, but if you want to vote harder, then you gotta spend some Volcoin or vote hardest, because that actually works here. You know, it's a little different than in real life. But of course, will we stick to our campaign promises? That remains to be seen. But you can also basically buy votes. So it's quite similar to the political system in reality as well, I would say. All right, so I think that's it for this one.
Yeah. So, what game features have you planned for the future?
Yep, that's a very good question, which I think I came up with. All right, so we're gonna have, and this is what's called hidden object scenes. And this first game I talked about, Criminal Case, that has hidden object scenes, and we had a little bit of a rush because of some Indonesian holidays, because I didn't mention that, but I have 12 Indonesian staff that are working on this game, and it was Ramadan, and then we rushed like crazy to be ready, but never mind. So the words are missing, but like you can see here, the most dangerous superstition, or bipcot.org on the TV, you know, or Etienne de la Boetie, and a quote from him, or anyway, so you then have to find the objects as fast as you can, and preferably without messing up, or pressing something wrong. And this is very popular category of mini game within a game, you can say. So I'll just show you a couple of examples here. So this is from this is actually a separate Peace and Liberty Festival, but it is from the Michigan Peace and Liberty Coalition. And we have some of it is pretty useless points, like this beer here, for example. But we try to also have a bunch of things that are really relevant for the story. Here we see a logo of somebody in the room. All right. Then here we have CJ's home. And what I'm doing when we're working on these kind of things is that I'm actually speaking with some of the people that I know, and I ask them, so what kind of objects would you like to see? And with CJ, I've listened to all his episodes, usually many times, so I'm at least reasonably familiar with things that he could like, and then he came up with some things himself, and then we put it in there. So I think that's pretty unique. And here's another example. So it's a flying aircraft carrier. It's like US military. And then we have a dungeon, like a play dungeon, where my character will actually play with my kids. So I'm pretty happy with the quality of all of this, I have to say. So But that's the main minigame we're going to introduce. But as I explained initially, we don't add it from the beginning, simply because it takes extra time to implement it. And in the future, we're going to have a bunch of different stories. And then we're basically going to skip these features for the separate app we will create, which will have many stories, because this will be one standalone app that's we're going to keep building more features. We also have more ideas for features, more or less defined, but I'm not going to go into that now. So I think we can jump to the main final point here, which, because actually on this game, you can make real money, and that's very unusual. So I think I'll just explain how that works. That didn't work exactly, but never mind. So here it's very easy to register for the affiliate program. You do it through the game, and then you can see, I just give some examples here, but I'll explain how it works afterwards. But let's say if you end up making money, then you can either convert it to Volcoin and spend it on the game, which of course we don't mind, or you can withdraw the money through PayPal, or you could give to a charity or a cause. And we intend to start off with a few charities and causes, and we have a few international ones that maybe wouldn't be our favorites, but hey, it's not our money really, it's actually the people who have earned the money. So let's say they don't trust some, let's say, voluntarist cause, then they can give to whatever, Save the Children or something. But we will also try to include a few causes that we think are cool, that are more, let's say, related to voluntarism. And we will also put in the possibility to vote for future causes and charities. And so, for example, let's say CJ's podcast theoretically could be a cause to donate to, so that sort of thing. And here you see like the commission rewards. And what this means is that there are 3 levels. So, as an example, let's say Jones, he recruits Lewis, and then Lewis will, Lewis will recruit, as an example, let's just say Jeff Berwick, as he knows him, and Jeff presses on the link that Lewis has shared, and there will be some cool ads for the game that one can share. And then if Jeff then invites other people, he can, or let's say he posts his link on his social media, then Lewis will get a kickback from that, and Jones will also get a kickback from it. So you get basically 3 levels. And this could be done in a way which, if you are a little clever, and of course if the game is popular, then one could possibly make a lot of money if one, let's say, gets one heavy hitter, whether it's somebody, let's say, that we know, or it's somebody else, but just somebody has a lot of followers and end up actually with people who either spend money or just enough that it's a significant advertising revenue, then one could actually make some serious cash on this thing. And if you, I don't expect that we will end up with Choices revenue. You know, they have about $5 million a month. I don't mind, but that's not exactly something I take for granted. But anyway, even if it's less than that, quite a lot less, it can still be, if you are one of those who are managing to get maybe even 2 layers of heavy hitters or something, then it could be serious money, actually. So that's something also, if anyone wants to talk with me and brainstorm about ideas about that before I leave from this festival, feel free to suggest it. But just as one example, other example, so let's say just some 16-year-old girl, she sits and plays this game, and then her neighbor's tennis partner's friend is, knows Britney Spears, and then Britney Spears somehow posts about it to her social media, then hey, that 16-year-old girl could probably make a lot of money. You never know. So that's also one of the things. If one actually tries, then maybe you find some people, but you have no idea who's going to do anything with it, and then one of them reaches just gigantic show that covers it or something, you know, and then suddenly, wow, I made a lot of money. Yeah, I think that covers this part. Let's see. Yeah, there will be a list of affiliates. It's a little boring probably, but you can see who brought in the most money, this and that, and we will help a lot to come up with ads and different ways to stimulate the affiliates to keep working at it. All right. So, yeah, that's more or less it, I guess. I just want to press this one. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this ended up being very late, so I'm very grateful that that many of you actually have been here anyway. If you have any questions, then I'll be very happy to try to respond. Otherwise, we made a couple of backup questions, just in case nobody has anything. But please, if anyone has any questions. Mike? Yeah, well, that's going to be a part of the story. So, let's say this Morris character, or and Geraldine, those two, they will talk with a lot of pretty smart people because they're doing research for this game app that, let's say, my character's company wants to publish, and as a consequence, they end up talking with a lot of really intelligent people. And for example, CJ's character, he's going to be a key person in order to find out some information that otherwise wouldn't be available. And when the game moves on, the story moves on for a while, then Morris is actually, just doesn't really matter if I tell that now, I think, but Morris is going to then learn from CJ's character, and they're going to have a lot of discussions, and then Morris is going to apply it in the game that they're making, for example. And there will be others as well, but that's just a relevant example in this case. So it's gonna be a pure fiction story, but there will be a bunch of concepts and facts and things like that I learned from many different parties that will be introduced. So yeah, so that could be from a lot of different voluntarists, but also from others, and some of it will be maybe contradictory to what I believe. In the sense that it's not just going to be that the only thing that they ever hear from anyone is the message that I think makes the most sense. They will also talk with people who slightly disagree or completely disagree. There will be psychiatrists that are talking in the media about things that, to kind of make people less than what they can be. So there will be a lot of internal conflicts for these main characters. Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention is that there's going to be a study or a group of studies on Gonave, which is going to be covered by international media, and that's going to be a reality show. Which first it will go into 3 studies, the studies that Jim Cunningham or Jay Farrell was covering last time he was here, and also on CJ's show. So the Stanford Prison Experiment, Milgram Experiment, and Ash Conformity Study. It's going to be new studies based on that, with people coming from many countries around the world. So that's going to be a part of the story as it gradually builds up as well. And Jim's character is going to conduct these studies. And I talked with Louis today, and he seemed to agree with my idea for what he's going to do, or at least one of the things that his character will do. And there will be some research on ayahuasca, with people voluntarily testing it out and trying to measure what's going on. And he's going to be somebody who tries to make sure that they have the best experience they can, and support if there's little insecurity going on there during the trips. But that's also then going to be part of this reality TV program in the story. So I mean, yeah, there will be things from many different sides which you could call educational, but it's not obvious always that it's purely educational. There will be, for example, also a discussion between Morris and Larkin Rose, where after Larkin has been slaughtering, basically, yeah, like he's come up with the most dangerous superstition stuff, And then at the seminar, and Morris was just like, what is this guy talking about? And then afterwards they have a conversation where they go through it. Daryl Becker's character, he will explain some cryptocurrencies, why that actually can be a good thing. And anyway, so there are a lot of different things like that happening already from some of the first episodes, but I'm gradually going to build it up also. So it's not that a new player gets bombarded by this stuff right away. Okay? Anybody else? Just please.
Do you have projected launch dates for Apple and for Android yet?
Projected launch date is September, but I have to say that in January the projected launch date was June. So it's one of those projects where just like we want to publish it very soon, you know. Also because we keep spending money. We haven't made a cent from this so far. Fortunately, I have an Indonesian team, which makes it very much less expensive than otherwise, but it is a pretty big project. We have more than 2,000 high quality images so far, and yeah, more game features actually than, for example, Choices have. So yeah, and we bump into different unforeseen problems during the development process, just with the programming, which is normal, but it's difficult to say exactly at what time do we have it all sorted and that it's fully ready to go. So let's say projected date is September, maybe with serious testing procedure from many people, let's say a month before or something like that, and then probably find out like, oh no, that's going to be December, you know. But no, hopefully not. We actually initially expected to publish in December last year, so it could be kind of, oh, you can do this during Christmas, you know. Yeah.
Now, are you planning it as a staggered launch, or are you planning to do both platforms simultaneously?
It looks like we're going to do Android first, simply because it's a little bit easier to work with Android. Like they make it a little bit easier than iOS or than Apple. But I think iOS may be the most important. But that's even a reason to do Android first, you know, because we try to avoid bugs by any means. But when you mass launch a game, and let's say we have many thousand users in a short period of time, then it could be unforeseen problems. And so in that sense, Android is the guinea pig, but it's of course also a very important platform. So, but I imagine there will maybe be 1 or 2 months difference between those two. And then the plan is when we have this hidden object scenes, which I showed with the different things you have to find objects, then when we have that ready, we also intend to publish on Facebook. At least that's the goal. We're working on also trying to find out how to do a few things for that. That's one reason why we have not prioritized it yet. But I think it could be a big platform simply because of all the sharing stuff you can do through Facebook and all that stuff.
So do you need beta testers before it launches?
Yeah, we will need beta testers, yeah. You want to be one?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy for that. And Joe, as you maybe saw earlier, is going to be a character in the game as well. He's actually working to help organizing one of these festivals. Yes?
What about technical details like platform, programming languages, database,
yeah, we use Unity.
Copyright licensing?
Yeah, we use Unity, and it's C# that it's being coded in. And yeah, we're not going to go for, let's say, any patents or copywriting per se of anything specific. It's not many really original features at the end of the day also. And I hate intellectual property situations because I lost a lot of money on that before because of a patent that stopped us from publishing a PlayStation version of our previous game. We had an order for 400,000 pre-ordered units at $10 a piece for us, but unfortunately there was a patent that blocked it. No big deal, right? But anyway, so let's say I try to make sure that we're covered. We're not going to end up in a legal situation, but I don't want to just try to patent anything of our own. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
I'm not a gamer by any sense at all, but I really want to play. Who's the target market for this sort of a game? Just curious.
That is a good question, and I would say you're already onto something with saying that you're not a gamer, because this is a type of game that can apply for people who are not gamers, because you really don't need to be. Yeah, no, that's the thing. As long as the stories are captivating enough, then people, they love to identify with the characters and the stories, and you can even vote to influence what's going to happen in the future and that sort of thing, which I've never seen in a game before, by the way. But the target market in general is, it's much more diverse, I think, than most other games, but it's definitely not typical gamers. It's more probably people from like mid-20s upwards, and that can go quite high up as well. I mean, I think my mother would like to play it, and she's like 72. And not just because it's me, it's a type of game that somebody can like at any age, especially because even for people who are a bit older, there could be educational stuff they can learn from too. So we've avoided trying to nail it down too much before we publish, because instead of putting in a big amount of money in marketing right away, we're going to try to see how we can manage to boost the initial sales through the affiliate program. And also we have another, hopefully pretty clever plan for how to build up the social media marketing to reach a lot of people. And once we see who are the ones to register the most and spend the most money, then we're gonna just focus on marketing towards them and spending our money smart in that sense. Because one thing with the affiliate program is that we don't pay anything for marketing until we have made money ourselves. And I really don't mind giving people a bit of money for marketing if I already made the money. So yeah. But I think our story, at least this story, probably maybe in average a bit more appeal for males than this Choices game, for example. But I believe that a lot of women could like it as well. Let's see. Okay. Anybody else? So they asked one of our questions at least, right? But okay.
I do have one question about any
Sure.
fiction authors that might have served as some inspiration for this idea in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading thousands of novels in my life, and I'm into, let's say, historical fiction. I like quite a lot, but I wouldn't say that there are any directly that have inspired me much more than others. I tried to mix like a combination of like thriller and interesting, let's say, facts and that sort of thing, with also some humor. So hopefully many people will think some of the humor is funny. But no, I can't really say I have any specific ones in mind for that. But that brings me on to one more point that I was planning to mention. I maybe said it initially also, that we will be looking for more story writers in the future. So I hope to find more story writers, let's say, who would have a voluntarist perspective on things, but could write about it could be totally different stories. They just have to work with the format. And for my goal, I'm not putting limits for myself if it doesn't make any sense. So my hope is that it can be a little bit like a Netflix version of the story-driven games, which Choices is at the moment. Like as I said, the point is not really to compete with them. The point is to be able to build up a bunch of different stories that are all really interesting and preferably quite diverse as well. But it has to match the format. And I hope that we will be able to get the rights for certain international best-selling novels that we think are very interesting, and the same maybe with some TV series or even movies. It totally depends how popular this becomes. If it's just a small, medium successful thing, we probably will not get the bigger ones, but it's a type of concept where I think sooner or later somebody's gonna hit and take that market. And that's, again, you can imagine, let's say somebody got the right to rewrite Game of Thrones for this concept. You know, I mean, I think you'd make quite a lot of money if you got the rights for that. But we'll see. Either way, so if any of you feel like you have the capacity to write interesting stories, or just be a story writer, rewrite other stories for this type of platform, then that could be interesting, or maybe you know somebody. But at the moment, it's just me with a bit of help, and then we're going to gradually add more when that makes sense financially, and we're ready with the first one. All right, one more question there. What I explained in the beginning is that it's a very popular genre now, actually. This story-driven, no problem. This story-driven games, it's probably the biggest growing genre of apps, mobile apps, you can say, within gaming. And I think it's still more or less just scratching the surface. One of the reasons why I decided to do this is because the other stories are really not impressing me that much. It's not that they're terrible or that they don't have any good ideas, but I'm thinking, like, there are so many awesome stories out there, and why should one not have awesome stories on such a kind of game concept too, especially when it's that type of revenue already that we're talking about. I think that was our last question. So there are a few things, like I showed, that one can spend money on. So, like, let's say bonus content, bonus chapters where you get to know stuff that you otherwise wouldn't get to know about, or some extra content in that regard. Then if you want to, let's say you want to play the 20 chapters in one weekend, then you got to pay money to speed it up to get more keys. So that could be a key point. And also, if you want to vote, then especially when it gets closer to the end of the month, maybe some people just like, I always spend a lot of money on games, so okay, I put in $100 or something, and spend money on that. It's hard to say how much is going to come from it, but it could be something there. And of course, advertisements. That could be a serious part of the revenue, like Criminal Case, the first game I talked about. I think they get most of their revenue from advertisement because they have so many users. So if we have a lot of users, then we can get that it could itself be very financially beneficial, and that will also apply for the affiliate program, because the affiliate program will depend on our net revenue. That's the thing. We are still looking into exactly how we're going to do it. I want to try to avoid having some really stupid or super violent or super statist kind of games. So, but I'm not 100% sure how much, let's say, iOS and Google Play or Apple Store and Google Play, how much say they want to have on it. I think one can decide quite a lot for oneself, but we'll try to be selective where we can, and then we'll see. I'm impressed that there's still so many here and somewhat awake. Okay, anything else? Just like, no more, please, no. Okay. That's Bill. Yes, yeah.
Are you going to be demoing at any other conventions or gatherings coming up this summer, like Gen Con, Origins, anything like that?
No, we're not going to do that. We don't have the budget to spend a lot on, let's say, demonstrations at bigger conferences. So, but I think next year is a goal to, first of all, be able to attend some of those. And in addition, I hope that there's a chance that, let's say, I could be able to present the game after it's finished at some other conventions. Maybe even, let's say, some other, let's say, voluntarist, anarchist, libertarian conventions, that sort of thing. I hope to be invited on some podcasts or interviewed by different parties about it. And this is something that even could be connected with an affiliate program. You know, somebody like Louis was mentioning maybe he wants to interview me for Emancipated Human, and then could be at the same time basically mention Louis's affiliate code, you know, like this, that sort of thing. So no, we're not. This year we're not going to do too much of the conventions, I think. But if, let's say, somebody else would like to start boosting their affiliate status by, we can send some PowerPoint, and they could go themselves and demonstrate it. Actually,
A little kind of guerrilla marketing.
yeah, exactly. I love that stuff. All right, and any more questions? I think we have reached the end.